I never imagined I'd be the kind of woman who would throw away a 25-year marriage for another man. But here I am, broke, alone, living in a small apartment where the heater barely works and my kids hardly speak to me. My name is Danielle. I'm 46, and 3 years ago I made what I believed was the bravest decision of my life. Turns out it was the biggest mistake I'll ever make. Patrick and I met in our early 20s at a company picnic. He worked in accounting and I was in customer service. He wasn't like the others, confident, funny, the kind of man who could make you laugh until your stomach hurt. He had dreams in his eyes and ambitions too big for that small office job. We married after 2 years of dating, and a year later welcomed our first child. Before I knew it, we were raising 3 kids, paying off a mortgage, and living a busy suburban life, filled with grocery lists and birthday parties. But somewhere along the way, something changed. Or maybe I just started seeing him differently. Life became routine. Patrick would come home from work, eat dinner, sit in front of the TV, and go to bed. We didn't fight. It was worse. It was silence. He stopped noticing me. I'd cut my hair, and he wouldn't look up from his phone. I'd buy a new dress, and the only thing he'd ask was it on sale? Meanwhile, my friends posted date nights, anniversaries, and romantic getaways. Patrick wasn't cruel. He wasn't abusive. He was loyal, provided for us, and always showed up for the kids. But I kept asking myself, was that enough? Was this what marriage was supposed to be? I started dreading coming home. The house felt like a museum filled with old photos from a life I wasn't sure I wanted anymore. The smiles in those pictures mocked me, frozen memories of a happiness I couldn't feel. Our kids were grown. Liam was 28, Olivia 26, Ethan 23. They didn't need me anymore. Patrick and I barely spoke beyond, "Did you pay the bill?" or "The car needs service." Then he appeared, Nathan. He'd been transferred to my department. The spark was instant, the kind of pull you try to ignore but can't. He had this easy charm. He'd stop by my desk asking pointless questions just to talk. He remembered my coffee order and left it on my desk with a smile. We started having lunch together. He listened, really listened. Not like Patrick, who half heard everything I said. I told myself we were just friends, but I knew better. Nathan made me feel alive, noticed, desired. His sweet messages, jokes, and encouragement made my days lighter. I began caring about my looks. Again, new clothes, new makeup, lost 15 pounds. Patrick only noticed the credit card bills. Nathan noticed everything. Soon we were staying late at work. Quiet talks in the empty break room turned into deep confessions. I told him how invisible I felt, how lonely I'd been. He told me about his failed marriage and regrets. The first kiss happened after company happy hour. I knew I should have stopped it, but I didn't. It felt like waking up after years of sleep. I drove home in a daze that night. Patrick was asleep on the couch, the TV still on. I stood there, thinking about how different Nathan made me feel. That night, I slept in the guest room for the first time, blaming it on not wanting to wake him. Soon, the line was crossed. I told Patrick I was going to a work conference, but I spent the weekend in a hotel with Nathan. I should have felt guilty, but I felt free. With him, I wasn't just a tired wife. I was Danielle again. Suddenly, Patrick's quiet habits felt unbearable. I convinced myself Nathan and I shared something rare, something worth losing everything for. 2 months later, I asked for a divorce. Patrick's face, I'll never forget it. He didn't yell or curse. He just sat there and quietly asked if there was someone else. I told him yes. He asked me to reconsider to try counseling, anything for our family. But I was gone. I told myself I hadn't loved him in years. A lie to make leaving easier. When I left, things got ugly. I moved in with Nathan, gave Patrick everything, the house, the savings, the pension. Everyone said I was crazy to leave with nothing, but I believed love was enough. My kids disagreed. Liam said he was done with me. Olivia cried, asking how I could do this to our family. Even Ethan, my quiet one, wouldn't speak to me. They saw me only as the woman who broke their father's heart. I thought they'd forgive me eventually. For a while, life with Nathan was exciting. Weekend trips, spontaneous nights, I felt young again. But soon his flaws showed. His drinking got worse. He spent carelessly, charging gifts and dinners to my cards. Then I found out he drained my 401k to pay his debts. When I confronted him, he promised to change, but he never did. My kids stayed distant. Liam ignored me. Olivia spoke only briefly, often ending in tears. Ethan's replies were cold. Then I learned Patrick was dating Heather, a friend of his sister's. Olivia mentioned it casually, but it crushed me. I pictured her in my kitchen, in my bed. When Liam got engaged, I found out through Facebook. He didn't invite me. Patrick refused to intervene, saying it was between us. Nathan offered no comfort. He said my kids were brainwashed. But soon he began to unravel. More drinking, gambling, lies. He wrecked my car, spent my savings, and shrugged it off. That was the final straw. I packed my bags and left. Now I live alone in a small, drafty apartment. My job barely pays the bills. Olivia's expecting a baby boy, my first grandchild, but I doubt I'll be part of his life. Patrick and Heather are planning a Hawaii trip, the one he and I always dreamed of. Some nights, I stare at old family photos and wonder, was I really that unhappy? Or did I just rewrite the past to justify what I did? My therapist says it was a midlife crisis, fear of aging, losing passion. Maybe she's right, but knowing why doesn't heal anything. Last week, I saw Patrick at the grocery store. He looked good, calm, healthy, happy. Heather was with him. They laughed as they shopped. When he saw me, he just nodded politely, like I was a stranger. Olivia's wedding is next month. She invited me under strict conditions. No date, separate seating, no expectations. I'll still go. It's all I have left. Sometimes at night I play a cruel game in my head. What if I'd never met Nathan? What if I'd just asked Patrick to listen? Told him I felt invisible, begged for help. Instead of running? Would I still have my home, my family, my dignity? Probably. My mother used to say, the grass is greener where you water it. I didn't water mine. I chased a mirage and ended up with nothing but regret. Nathan texted me last week saying he misses me, that he's getting help. I didn't reply. Some lessons are learned only once. Now I spend quiet nights knitting a blue and white baby blanket for a grandson I might never meet, hoping someday my kids will see me not as the woman who broke their father's heart, but as someone who made a terrible mistake and learned too late. Until then, I live with the ashes of the life I burned and pray that one day I'll find the courage to forgive the woman I used to be.